everyone, I'm Maya Suzuki. This is Okane. He's going to be my assistant for today's video. We're going to be learning how to use Dispersive Moxa to help inflammation like a mosquito bite. Now, if you didn't know that you could do Dispersive Moxa, well, you're going to learn today. And also, in order to do Dispersive Moxa, you're going to really want to dial in your Moxa technique. You can do that within the Shinkyu University Mentorship. You can find a link for that mentorship in the description box below. Okay, we're going to get into it. I do want to put a disclaimer though before we do the technique that this is not something I've invented. This is something I learned while going to acupuncture school in Japan, where I got certified as an acupuncture and Moxa therapist through the Japanese government. So this is not mine. This is definitely something I'm passing along to you, which is what I always do within this YouTube channel. So let's get into it. So in order to treat a mosquito bite, we're usually going to do one dispersive cone in the center. And if they still have a lot of swelling and pain, we can start doing some on the edges. Now I've already done 2 dispersive cones here in the center, so you can start to see how the coloring is changing, but you can also see how the swelling here is starting to decrease. So if you look on the outer edge of this line, you can see how the swelling now has moved into this center line. There's a different color here as opposed to out here where there's a lighter colorization, which tells me that the swelling has started to decrease. And so how we're going to do this is we can do 1 dispersive cone in the center, and then we can do tonifying cones along the edge. Now, the difference between a dispersive cone and a tonifying cone is that a dispersive cone is going to feel a touch hot. A tonifying cone is going to feel just a little warm. Now, I've made my cone a little bit bigger than half grain size. It is quite dense. You can see it's flat on either side. Let's do a new cone so that way it's perfect. So when we do a cone for a kiddo, we always have to be careful of our heat quality because little kiddos can't take the same amount of heat as an adult, but we still warn them it's going to be hot. Okay. Now notice for that cone, I took it off a little bit before it was completely burned out. And that's because for an adult, I would have left it on, but for a kiddo, it's going to be just a little too hot. Now I'm going to get a new piece of Moxa, because with all this talking, I've kind of squished my Moxa there. So let's get a new piece of Moxa, make sure it's nice and soft. And the next step is to do tonifying cones around this internal edge where the swelling is. So can you tell me, Liliko, go ahead and touch that finger. Tell me where it still hurts.
More like right here and like a bit right here,
okay,
towards the input.
Okay.
I'm just gonna...
Hold on, sweetheart. All right, so for our tonifying cones, do you see how that one has been stopped? So I didn't snuff it out. What I did was control the heat flow, which stopped the burn. And it stops it about halfway. Now again, this is a little bit easier of a technique to use if you're starting out with Moxa, but to be able to create a good cone and have it burn correctly, that requires a lot of mentorship and a lot of time. So please do, if you're really in love with Moxa like I am, please see if Shinkyu is a good fit for you, because getting mentorship in Moxa is imperative for a good practice. So notice that second one I had to take off because it was fallen, but this cone and this cone both stopped right before the base as they were burning. So you can see when I put it sideways how that cone stopped burning. All right, honey, let's take that off. Tell me how that feels now.
It feels much better.
Any pain?
When I touch it a bit, but Other than that, not really.
Okay. So I would say then, I would say then that this one is now done. And if you were to do a second treatment, I would wait several hours and see how the body heals. About 70% is what we always want to aim for. So there's still a little bit left for the body to do. And we're going to say that that's good for now. And you can also see here how the outer edge of the inflammation, you can even see that the redness is almost gone. And it's really receded into this internal circle here. This is a really great treatment to do if someone has a contusion, someone has a really bad bruise, maybe a mosquito bite. There's so many different ways that you can use a very similar technique. You can also do something like this with your needles as well. So that was a really simple treatment that you can do with your moxibustion to use both dispersive cones, again, a little hot cones, and tonifying cones. I would like to put a little additional information there on the end in that a dispersive cone feels just a touch hot, but it should not leave a blister. Traditionally, it might have. In our situation in modern society, usually it does not. The tonifying cone should feel nice and warm. It shouldn't feel a little hot. And so in order to achieve this, I highly recommend that not only do you practice your moxa a ton, I have a lot of moxa videos here on the YouTube channel that you can check out and start to build your moxa practice, but also that you check out mentorship. So if you join a program like Shinkyu, you get lifetime mentorship in not only moxibustion, but also your acupuncture, shonishin, palpation, theoretical differences, and so much more. You can check out a link for that discussion in the description box below. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And okay, if they want to watch another video, where should they look? Should they look over here?
You should look straight.
Can check it out right over here.